Good afternoon. Welcome to We Believe Digital Studios in downtown Jackson, Mississippi for our twice weekly news break show, noon to 12:30. Got a whole bunch of topics to cover with you today. So glad that you're joining us at We Believe Digital. We thank you so much for the views on YouTube and liking us on YouTube and subscribing to the program. The subscriptions are just rolling up at a really fast rate, and we're so happy with that. So happy with you, and obviously you're finding something here on this platform that really appeals to you. We were just talking to another person this morning in the studio about starting up a new show. We've got all kinds of programming for you and community interest and all kinds of different genres, so that we can be your go-to media company here in Jackson and far beyond. So it's 83 degrees now, heading for 88 in Jackson. We'll start out on the local level. The 19-year-old Jones College student accused of killing a Jackson State University student appeared in court this morning for his initial hearing. The judge denied bond for Joshua Brown. She's from Columbia, Mississippi, charged with murder in connection to the death of Jalen Burns, also charged with illegal possession of a firearm on school property. According to Jones College, campus police executed a bench warrant for Brown on Wednesday, October 18th. He was arrested without incident and turned over to the Jackson State Police Department. He was booked in the Hinds County Detention Center on yesterday. Investigators said the shooting happened at the University Point apartment complex, which is just off JSU's campus. It's not on the campus. It has a lot of housing over there for campus students, but it's not on the campus itself, as has been misreported by many news outlets. So again, we extend our condolences to the family and friends of Jalen Burns, and wish everybody at Jackson State the best as they work through this very, very difficult time. Another item in Jackson and Hinds County, the Hinds County District 2 Supervisor David Archie is appealing the judge's ruling that dismissed his election challenge lawsuit. Archie's appealing to the Mississippi Supreme Court, according to WJTV. Special Judge Barry Ford dismissed Archie's lawsuit on Thursday, September 28th. The court dismissed the lawsuit with prejudice because it was outside the 10-day filing period. Archie filed the lawsuit against the Hinds County Democratic Party earlier this month, and he claimed that there was a high-tech election heist during the race. Anthony Smith, a retired businessman, had beat Archie by a margin of about 2-1 by numerous reports. And speaking of Hinds County, gets me thinking about voting. I was just looking at this pamphlet put out by the NAACP, reminding everybody, all kinds of state elected officials are going to be on the ballot November 7th. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, the State Treasurer, Commissioner of Agriculture, Commissioner of Insurance, the State Auditor, different legislative folks, different people in the Senate and the House, district officials like Public Service Commission, Transportation Commission, and down to county elected officials, county district elected officials. So all kinds of folks on the ballot. It's going to be a good sized ballot. Going to be bigger in some areas and smaller in other areas, but it looks like in Hinds County it's certainly going to be huge. So we move on to the state stories we have, and again, we always share with you that today is another day when our Republican-dominated legislature in the state of Mississippi chooses not to call for any hearings or conduct any hearings about the largest fraud scandal in the history of the state. Under Republican leadership, by Republican appointees, upwards of $100 million, was pilfered, was stolen, was misused, misspent, whichever word you prefer, from a federal safety net program designed to provide aid to the absolutely poorest Mississippians, Mississippi families. But these people in positions of power decided, well, the heck with all that. The money's just there, nobody paying attention. We'll just use it for what we want to use it for. Just a horrible, horrible, unchristian deed to misuse that money that way. Fitness boot camps, volleyball stadiums, paying for rehab and first-class air tickets, to Malibu, California for rehab for certain people. It's just horrible. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But the Attorney General of the state of Mississippi don't want to say nothing about it. And these Republican legislators don't want to hold any hearings on it, and just hoping that over time people will forget. Well, they're not going to forget. And We Believe Digital will definitely not forget, and keep you informed on that. The Huffington Post, that's a national source, reporting Brandon Presley, the white Democratic nominee for governor, needs to convince black voters that he plans to restore state funding for historically black colleges and universities and reinvest in the city of Jackson. This Governor Tate Reeves, the article says, has treated the capital city, which is 83% black and 26% impoverished. I would certainly argue with that impoverished number. I think more like 35 to 40% impoverished, as an enemy to be tamed rather than a constituency to be served. That's what they say about Tate Reeves. So based on the latest polling, there's about a 10-point difference, but I don't know. I really not feeling that. It seems to be, the race seems to be much, much tighter. Yesterday, Brandon Presley announced that he'd fulfilled his promise to visit all 82 counties in the state. And now there's just word coming out that he's starting a bus tour, starting up a bus tour right away. I mean, we're really only 2.5 weeks away from that November 7th election. So that's a very tight race. The black vote, black participation will decide by anybody that mentions it. That's what it's on. So if we want to get rid of Tate Reeves, if we want to bring this other guy, Brandon Presley, in, which shows lots of signs of being able to work with people and has some fairness and dignity about him, some integrity, then we got to get out and vote. We got to get out and vote. We can't stay home. We stay home on this one, we just keep getting more and more of Tate Reeves, and we don't need that. He's really not for us. So the next story on the Mississippi front is that the Mississippi's hospital crisis was front and center during a roundtable discussion on last night, or yesterday afternoon rather. State Senator Solly Norwood, a Democrat, District 28, along with educators and healthcare professionals, discussed the hospital crisis at the Jackson Hines Comprehensive Health Center. Organizers said that more than 20 hospitals closing in Mississippi, the state could face some serious problems. Well, we already know it's facing serious problems. Solly Norwood says, quote, "The $1 billion a year that our state would have been afforded, those monies still are not exempt, and it's not going to be an impact on our state because the state economists are saying that it's not going to negatively impact the state. That $1 billion a year by expanding Medicaid is going to provide better quality health care throughout the state. And most importantly, it's going to save lives. And this is not a welfare program. And We Believe Digital reminds you that Mississippi is currently ranked 49th in the country, overall 49th in the country for health care. and 46th in the country for access to health care, 50th in the country for quality of health care. So something's got to change, and we're in really, really rough shape. And this expansion of Medicaid is not going to be the panacea that solves the whole thing, but it certainly would prop up our system in a huge, huge way, and do that on a year in, year out for a very low cost to Mississippi taxpayers. Something like 90+% is paid by the feds, 90+%. And the last story on the state level before we move on to the national level is about, sadly, connected to this healthcare crisis on infant mortality. WJTV reported today that every region in Mississippi ranked higher in infant mortality than the national average. The national average is 5.4 deaths out of every 1,000 live births. And every single region in Mississippi ranked higher than the national rate. And so you see, it's not a myth about this health care. I mean, so these are little kids that don't make it to see their 1-year birthday. The report comes 1 month after the CDC released data showing Mississippi's infant mortality rate reached a 5-year high, while the national rate remained relatively stable. From 20 to 21, Mississippi's rate continued to go up. That rate also showed the state continues to lead the nation in babies who die before their first birthday. In 2021, the year before last, 327 babies died in Mississippi before the age of 1, according to that state report. So what causes this? Well, these people say that what causes infant death in Mississippi are prematurity, having premature births, low birth weight, birth defects, and sudden infant death syndrome. Babies whose deaths are caused by SIDS also reached a 10-year high in Mississippi in 2021, according to the report. You know, I just saw something on the news last night, too. This thing about, you know, putting stuffed animals and blankets and pillows and stuff up in that crib during that first year is a big no-no. I mean, I didn't know that. You know, when my children were born, that was a normal thing. You know, you just want to make them feel comfortable as possible. But and they say that no pillow needed because the neck of the baby can't handle the pressure that would be put on by putting it up on a pillow. So, you know, little things like that, really being smart about that. They say the only thing that should be in the crib during that baby's first year of life is a fitted sheet. That's it. Just a fitted sheet so it's not going to come loose and have a chance of suffocating the baby. So with that, we'll dip out for a couple of commercials, and then we'll be back with you for several stories on the national level, and then a really long commentary on what's going on with this Israeli-Hamas war. We'll be right back.
Are you dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur, but you're not sure where or how to start? At Entrepreneurs Academy 101, our online program will guide you step by step on how to start and grow your own business. We offer courses such as how to write a business plan, how to create a budget, and so much more. Our online training program is designed for you to learn at your own pace, and there's no set order to complete this program. Because our academy is online, you have the choice to learn with a group, with friends, or individually. Upon completion of the entire curriculum, you will receive a certificate of achievement to acknowledge that you have completed the training needed to become a successful entrepreneur. So enroll today to design the life that you love. Contact your entrepreneur coach, Brenda Myers, at 601-672-0695 or visit our website at www.entrepreneursacademy101.com for more information.
Hey, have you heard about the Accountable Card? It's more than a card. It's a complete mobile banking service that's accountable to all of us. You'll get a no credit check debit card good anywhere Visa is accepted. to make purchases, deposits, even get or transfer cash with an FDIC-insured bank account managed from our smartphone app. There's even a pre-approved no-interest line of credit if you need emergency cash. So why go to the bank when you can have ours in your pocket? Get accountable. Just download our app today.
And welcome back to We Believe Digital. Chris Young with you today. Moving now in this last segment to some national stories. And you know, these people did it again up there in the Capitol this morning, up there in Washington, D.C. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio failed for the third time this morning to win an election as the House Speaker. He just don't want to let it go, leaving his party with no consensus on a way forward, and the chamber paralyzed in the face of growing pressure to get back to business. This comes from the New York Times. Mr. Jordan has pushed ahead with the vote despite clear signals that he would fall short, and the outcome showed that he had actually lost ground, with 25 Republicans this morning opposing him, compared with 22 the other day, on Wednesday. Needing 250 votes to win, he ended up receiving 194 this time. And contributing to that story by the Associated Press, Republicans have no realistic or workable plan to unite the fractured GOP majority, elect a new speaker, and return to the work of Congress that has been languishing since hardliners ousted Kevin McCarthy at the start of this month. The vote for House Speaker, once a formality in Congress, has devolved into another bitter showdown for the gavel. And now off to a Georgia Trump story. Lawyer Sidney Powell, you remember that lady? Sidney Powell. Oh my gosh, the thing that the stuff she had to say from the Associated Press. They say Sidney Powell, she's a lawyer who famously vowed to unleash a mystical sea monster, the Kraken, of litigation to prove that Donald Trump didn't lose the 2020 election, has now struck a deal with Georgia prosecutors admitting she conspired to wrongly interfere with the state's election results. Now, this is a licensed attorney pleading guilty that she conspired to wrongly skew things around and misrepresent. So her guilty plea Thursday culminates a 3-year journey in which she pursued baseless and often outlandish theories in the weeks before a mob of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. Along the way, Powell was part of several key events in the state and federal indictments against Trump for his conduct in the 2020 election, and now becomes a potential witness against Trump. So you know she was on the very inner circle, and she pleaded guilty, and she got to write a letter of apology to the citizens of Georgia, and it looked like she's going to be working together with the prosecutors now against Donald Trump, who so many people in this country they think he's some sort of a hero or something. It's just hard for the brain to take in. Another story from the AP, United Auto Workers. They've been going on now 5-6 weeks. United Auto Workers Union President Shawn Fain is expected to update members Friday afternoon on progress in the contract talks with the three Detroit automakers, as movement was reported with General Motors. There was some movement originally with Ford and Stellantis. Now there may be some movement with General Motors. It's very interesting how the country bailed out the auto industry in 2009, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there, and now they're back to making billions, paying their executives ungodly millions of dollars, but they're not taking care of the people that get the job done. Fain is scheduled to do a live video conference this afternoon where he could report could call on more workers to walk off their jobs, joining the 34,000 already on strike at 6 vehicle assembly plants and 38 parts distribution warehouses. The union strikes at targeted plants at each company began on September 15th. So here we are on October 20th, nearing the start of six weeks been on strike. Another story on the national front, a Texas judge has ruled that InfoWars, you remember this guy, Alex Jones? I don't know how you describe this guy. He tried to, he got sued mightily. He trying to use bankruptcy protection to avoid paying more than $1.1 billion to families who sued over his conspiracy theories that the Sandy Hook school massacre was a hoax. The decision is another significant defeat for Jones in the wake of juries in Texas and Connecticut punishing him over spreading falsehood about the nation's deadliest school shooting. The district judge, U.S. District Judge Christopher Lopez of Houston issued the ruling on Thursday. Jones had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection last year. In more recent financial documents submitted by his attorneys, put his personal net worth at about $14 million, but Lopez ruled that those protections do not apply over finding of quote, willful and malicious conduct, unquote. 26 kids, 24 kids and 2 grown-ups killed by this gunman at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. That was in 2012. Jones made false conspiracy theory a centerpiece of his programming on his flagship InfoWars show. Alex Jones. Okay, so we're shifting on here in our last several minutes of the show today, shifting on to this Israeli-Hamas war that's been going on. So trying to bring you different perspective, primarily from the Associated Press and some from the New York Times. And so here we go. Israel said earlier today it does not plan to take long-term control over the Gaza Strip after an expected ground offensive to root out Hamas militants that rule the territory. So this is strikes are going on now. The ground war is very close to starting, if not having already started, and Israel is saying that they're trying to root out Hamas. They say they're not trying to root out the Palestinian people. And so we'll share a little bit more about that. It's just a really tough situation. The Israeli military punished Gaza with airstrikes, and authorities inched closer to bringing aid to desperate families and hospitals as people across Muslim countries protested in solidarity with Palestinians. Israeli bombed areas in southern Gaza where Palestinians have been told to seek safety, while it aims to destroy Hamas in retaliation for its brutal rampage in Israel 2 weeks ago. Fighting between Israel and militants in the neighboring Lebanon also raged, prompting evacuations of Israeli border towns as fears of widening conflict grow. I saw some film from Yemen this morning, public squares packed with people trying to show support for Palestinians. Speaking to lawmakers about Israel's long-term plans for Gaza, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant laid out a 3-stage plan that seems to suggest that Israel does not intend to reoccupy the territory that it left in 2005. Just as a reminder, the war began on October 7th after Hamas militants stormed into Israel, and Israel vowed to destroy the militant group. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, again, these words are from the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, said 4,137 Palestinians have been killed so far, and over 13,000 have been wounded. More than 1,400 people in Israel have been killed. An Israeli military spokesperson said that the families of 203 believed to have been captured by Hamas and taken into Gaza have been notified. So the family's been notified. Is there any movement on the hostage release? No, not yet. With tension spiking in the Middle East, U.S. forces in the region are facing increasing threats as a U.S. Navy warship, the USS Carney, shot down missiles appearing to be headed towards Israel. That was on yesterday. And American bases in Iraq and Syria were repeatedly targeted yesterday by drone attacks. A U.S. official said there had been a rocket attack early Friday morning on U.S. and coalition forces at a diplomatic support center near the Baghdad International Airport. Initial assessments indicate 2 rockets were fired. The official said nothing, noting that one was intercepted by a counter-rocket system. The other struck an empty storage facility. I mentioned the USS Carney, a guided missile destroyer, U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer in the northern Red Sea, intercepted 3 land attack cruise missiles and several drones that were launched by Houthi forces in Yemen. The action by the Carney potentially represented the first shots by the U.S. military in the defense of Israel in this conflict. So this thing got a lot of different dimensions to it. Hostilities are spreading beyond Israel and beyond the Palestinian lands. This is a beef between Israel and Hamas. This is a lot of people will want to disagree, but there's a distinction. They need to make a distinction. They're trying to make a distinction, it seems, and that's really why President Biden went to the region to distinguish between these Hamas militants in Gaza and actual Palestinians. So we pray for the families that have lost lives on both sides, and we pray for an end to the ceasing to the hostilities. Now this has spilled over into other areas. Now you have U.S. warships shooting down missiles in the area. Now you have U.S. areas where U.S. troops are congregated in the area being fired upon. So this is looking really, really ugly, and there isn't any indication that it's going to end anytime soon. And let's hope that more and more countries don't get dragged into this, and we can get an end to the hostilities, and grown-ups can sit down at a table. Of course, the U.S. Congress not setting a very good example right now of sitting down at the table and coming up with a solution to the speakership in the House that's holding up debate, holding up action on issues that are affecting everyday Americans, and including funding for Ukraine, Israel, the southern border, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of mess going on. But we just got to take care of one another, take care of ourselves, do the next right thing, reach out and do something good for somebody. You know, I just take one last second to recognize this new production team that we have here in these We Believe studios. Just really phenomenal young people, really just doing a great job here, putting in all kinds of hours, putting out a really great product. Our subscriber levels are, compared to what they were doing before, are going through the roof right now. So happy about that. Our key producer, Chelsea Thomas, producing this Newsbreak show. She also produces the vast majority of shows, and our Sizzling in Mississippi show that's coming on Monday night. The guest for Sizzling in Mississippi on Monday night will be this lady named Greta Kemp Martin, who's challenging Lynn Fitch for Attorney General. She'll be our guest on Sizzling. So many good programs going on here. More and more people coming to the studio, talking about new shows all the time. So we're glad to talk to you. Please stop by and visit us, 2659 Livingston Road, or give us a call, 1-800-492-5186. Be happy to speak with you, answer your questions, and figure out a way so that you can benefit from this We Believe Digital studio. Maybe start your own podcast. Think big. All the smart people always tell you, think big, think big. So thanks again from We Believe Digital for all your support. Hope you have the best weekend possible out there, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday at 12 noon for Newsbreak.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.